Iced out chain from the Beauty Supply by Halstead Indoor Mall. This one spins, they all glitter like a crush's toothy smile. Beauty Supply of Black Power peace sign Afro picks and a Crayola big box of do-rags to choose from. Beauty Supply shells with sleeves of weaves glimmering in the harsh light. Every manner of oil and grease and spritz and spray for the coaxing of curl under comb. Who can think of a rat tail without a tear for the nostalgia or the tender-headed memory? A rubber band of any conceivable size, a barrette of 2 balls clacking hard with every neck roll, all the ribbons and bows. The eyebrow lady wielding 2 ends of a thread like the sculptor's most precious tool. All the tools for the trade of looking, and you, little boy, get such a precious few. When I was young, I always loved the sort of warm fullness of a beauty supply store. Now that I'm grown and bald and order the beauty products I need mostly off the internet, I don't have much occasion to find myself in a black beauty supply. But this poem is my chance to visit once more.
JOAN BAEZ is one of the legendary voices of American music. She is also a decades-long advocate for social justice. She is a member of both the Folk and Rock and Roll Halls of Fame. In the early 1960s, she was regarded as the first lady of folk music. At this time, she was notable for championing the early career of the then upcoming singer-songwriter Bob Dylan. She introduced him to her fans by recording his songs and taking him out on tour with her. Despite all of the adoration that she received, Baez never took herself so seriously that she couldn't take the time to be photographed clowning with 1960s music icons Bob Dylan and the Rolling Stones. But before those heady days, she was a resident of the Inland Empire in the 1950s. She attended elementary, junior, and senior high schools in Redlands, California. Joan was a child of immigrants. Her father, Albert Baez, was born in Puebla, Mexico in 1912. As a boy, his family moved to the United States, first to Texas and then to New York City. Baez's mother, Joan Bridge, was born in Edinburgh, Scotland in 1913. As a girl, her family also immigrated to the United States, settling in Madison, New Jersey. She met her husband, Albert, in college, and they married in 1936. Pursuing his interest in mathematics and physics, Albert Baez earned both his bachelor's and master's degrees by 1935. In 1950, he earned his physics doctorate at Stanford University. Later that year, Baez moved his family to Redlands after he accepted a professorship at the University of Redlands. Joan had been born in 1941, her younger sister Mimi in 1945, and her older sister Pauline in 1938. In Joan's 1987 memoir, And a Voice to Sing With, she wrote about her Redlands years. She recalled that as a youth in the city, she felt like an outsider. She said, "So there I was with a Mexican name, skin, and hair. The Anglos couldn't accept me because of all 3, and the Mexicans couldn't accept me because I couldn't speak Spanish." Her pathway to acceptance was music. She explained, "It was the sense of isolation, of being different, that initially led me to develop my voice. I was in the school choir and sang alto, second soprano, soprano, and even tenor, depending on what was most needed. Mine was a plain little girl's voice, sweet and true, but stringy as cheap cotton thread, and as thin and straight as the blue line on a piece of binder paper." Encouraged to try out for the school talent show, she passed the audition and sang Earth Angel, and as an encore, Honey Love. This was her first public performance. Of the experience, Joan wrote in her book, "The fact that I didn't win the prize I'd been expecting dampened that day only a little. For all the anxiety, I knew I'd been really good, and that in some strange way, my peers loved me and were proudly claiming me as one of their own, as someone who truly belonged to Redlands High School. Her confidence boosted, she appeared in the role of Titania, Queen of the Fairies, in a production of A Midsummer's Night Dream, staged at the Redlands Bowl. By the late 1950s, Joan's father was now teaching at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. After she graduated from high school and enrolling and dropping out of college, she launched her folk music singing career in Boston and Cambridge, near where her family was now living. She was signed to Vanguard Records and released her first album in 1960 at the age of 19. In 1962, she appeared on the cover of the November 23rd issue of Time magazine. The magazine's feature story covered the folk music boom in America. The Time magazine cover drew the interest of the Redlands Daily Facts newspaper. It ran this story and photo in the November 21, 1962 edition. Joan Baez would return to the Inland Empire on February 27, 1964, to perform in her old hometown of Redlands with afternoon and evening concerts. At the request of one of her former Redlands High School teachers, she gave an afternoon concert at the Clock Auditorium on the campus. The 1964 Redlands High Yearbook reported, as she began her performance, she remarked that in junior high she had sat in the third seat in the balcony. Then she began to sing, and the audience fell silent. The sole sounds echoing in Clock Auditorium were that of a guitar, a tapping foot, and the pure, clean tones of Joan's voice. Student Mary Frances Lenker Petit attended the concert, and in a 2012 interview in the Redlands Daily Facts newspaper said, "I don't remember all the songs she sang, but I do remember very well. For her final song, she asked us all to stand, hold hands, and sing along with her, 'We Shall Overcome.' To say she brought the house down is putting it mildly." In the evening, Baez gave a memorial chapel concert at the University of Redlands, where her father once taught. In an article that appeared in the February 29, 1964 edition of the San Bernardino Sun-Telegram newspaper, reviewer Charles Perlee reported that the hall was filled to more than capacity, with some 100 members of the audience seated in chairs set up on the stage. Baez opened the concert with the song "Oh Freedom." Among the other songs she performed were "Kumbaya," "Turn and Turn Again," "Blowin' in the Wind," "With God on Our Side," "Fare Thee Well," "Birmingham Sunday," "All My Trials," and "Mary Hamilton." She closed with "Hush Little Baby." In the audience were her sister Mimi and her mother Joan, who had flown in from Paris to witness her daughter's homecoming appearance. Joan continued to perform until her 2018-2019 Fare Thee Well tour, after which she retired from the road. When she was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, she said, "I want my granddaughter to know that I fought against an evil tide and had the masses by my side. When all of these things are accomplished by music of every genre, the fight for a better world, one brave step at a time, becomes not just bearable, but possible and beautiful. Thank you again." In January 2021, Joan Baez celebrated her 80th birthday and an over 60-year career in music.
From Positively 4th Street. No more submissive to the ground rules of the folk tradition than she had been with the freshman guidelines at Boston University, or for that matter, any rules she thought restricting, Joan built a repertoire of songs she liked intuitively. "It's as if there were a mysterious string in me," she later explained. "If someone I hear plucks that string, then I'll sing that song. The whole process must be instinctual, I have to admit. And when people talk about the history of a song, I usually get somewhat bored. Sometimes I do wonder where a certain song came from and what it means beyond what the lyrics say. Yet this aspect of folk music has always been so secondary with me. I do feel kind of bad about being so bloody ignorant, because I'm that way about everything. I have a primitive way of going about everything. I can't force myself to do something in which I'm not really interested. Fundamentally, I'm lazy. I bought all of the bound volumes of Sing Out, the Folk Music Quarterly, to learn more about folk material, but I never looked at them. Hey, hello, Boss Cat.
Hey, DC.
What's cooking, man?
Well, I got a brand new video to show you.
You have a new? You've been working hard on new material?
Well, I want to show you. This is my new discovery. His name's GUITARO.
GUITARO.
Yeah.
Where did you find GUITARO?
Well, he just kind of fell out of the sky.
What was impressive about GUITARO to you?
You mean aside from falling out of the sky?
You know, that's a feat. What knocked you out about GUITARO?
Basically that he fell on my head.
So it got your attention.
Yeah.
And then...
Yeah. And so I said, man, this guy's got to make a video.
Is it a concert? Is it a... what is it?
No, it's just one song, and the name of the song is GUITARO. His name is GUITARO, and here it is.
We're back. That was incredible.
Yeah, it really knocks you against the wall.
I would say that. And, you know, it goes to different places. It's a little like Picasso when he has different periods, you know, through his creative life. I think you pretty much covered everything with GUITARO in this piece.
Yeah, you can't really think of anything to add to it.
I brought along with me, and I'm showing on the screen right now, some Hello Kitty wafer cookies. There she is right there. Yeah, she's kind of looking at you.
Oh, yeah. Hey, kitty.
I'm glad we got to hang out together. I was going to share with you, I know that you're discovering a lot of bands all the time, but I've been in this band called The Dangers. And
Oh, yeah.
so we've been around for 40 years, and we have this new album called Promised Land, because The Dangers have been around a long time.
Oh, the Dangers, man. My grandfather told me about you guys. Ha ha.
You have any last words for us, Boss Cat, before we leave?
Well, just quit fighting and stay out of jail.
Well, I'll catch you later, Boss Cat.
All right, see you, DC.
It fell out of the sky. Some more stuff about how the Conditions got started, or how you got the band going.
I was into punk rock, like in the late 70s, you know, 77, 78, but there was none of it around, or at least I didn't go hang out in Hollywood all the time, so I didn't realize that all this stuff was going on in Hollywood. I should have went down there and, you know, saw bands and stuff and networked a little bit, but I left for about 3 years. When I came back, it was happening in Riverside, and I was like, oh man, it's now, you know, I walked into, I forgot, was it the Barn? I walked into some club and said I had a band. And the guy said, okay, cool, can you play in about 2 weeks? And I said, sure. So I taught my friend, John Jacobs, how to play bass in about 2 weeks, basically, you know, Dee Dee Ramone's bass. And I had written 3 or 4 songs, so we played those like twice. I needed a drummer, and I had went to high school with Jim Warner.
Oh, okay.
And I was actually in a jazz improv class at RCC, and Jim was there. And I said, hey, do you want to be in a band? And he said, yeah. And one day I was at John Jacobs' house, and we heard some guy just ripping like this Ted Nugent guitar stuff in his garage, and it was Aaron. And we said, do you want to be in a band? And he said, yeah. So
There's just like that.
yeah.
Kind of like the Seventh Samurai.
It was horrible, but everybody, and the crazy thing was everybody liked it. And that was the whole point, as I'm sure you'll agree.
Yeah.
Back then, it just mattered that you got on stage and tried it.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, great, you guys are great. You know, you didn't have to be any good. I mean, all the bands were pretty horrible back then. You know,
it was just it was really. I remember I walked in, wherever it was, must have been the Ritz or something. The first thing I saw was two girls like choking each other in front of the stage. I'm like, okay, this is the music scene that I need to be around. You know,
Yeah.
two girls with like the David Bowie haircuts and bad eyeliner and all that, just choking each other. That like they were dancing.
Yeah.
That was like, and I was like, okay, cool. Yeah.
I want to be a part of this.
Yeah, and it was, nobody thinks too deep about it. I think I've told you before, my first few songs, I basically rewrote the first Ramones album, basically, and just put different words to it or something. Yeah. But, there was that, you and Bob Jarvistad and John Hickman, there was sort of a standard of songwriting that, was more than I Hate Mom and, and Yell and Scream a lot, that, even though that was part of it too, but I remember thinking, boy, I gotta sort of write songs, to keep up with these guys' stuff. Yeah. And there was this like standard I felt like I had to meet. I just couldn't say I hate the cops, and play 3 chords to that or something. It had to be
a 4th chord.
It had to be, I have 4 chords and I hate the cops. Yeah.
All right. So this is 13 Roses.
13 Roses. Well, I caught you trail downtown, the fury and the sound. And you look kind of different the way that I remembered. Well, you drunk on holy water, just like Satan's daughter. And you say I'm a lot more fun when I'm dismembered. Well, the black cat crosses the highway, and the rain soaks through my shoes. And all I have left to show is 13 roses. Well, you smile like a snake when you come unwound. And the only fun thing about hell is going down. Well, I caught you trail downtown, the fury and the sound. And you look kind of different the way that I remembered. Well, you're drunk on holy water, just like Satan's daughter. And you say I'm a lot more fun when I'm dismembered. Well, the black cat crosses the highway, and the rain soaks through my shoes. And all I have left to show is 13 roses. And all I have left to show is 13 roses. And all I have left to show is 13 roses.
Up all night, close to the break. I close my eyes, I try not to think. Reaching for you, I almost touch down. But the moon won't stop wandering around. You look good, asleep in that chair. Faint expectations rise in the air. When you awake, I won't be found. This moon won't stop wandering around. Wandering around, wandering around, all through the evening, never a sound. Oh, come here, my child, lay your head down. We'll stop this wandering around. You were right, I can't be read. Close that book, lay it down by your head. You were the story, in you I was bound. stop wandering around. Oh, my friend, your time has been true. Everything right goes straight back to you. Maybe in dreams we'll cover that ground, but the moon won't stop wandering around. Wandering around, wandering around, all through the evening and never a sound. Oh, come, hungry child, won't you lay your head down? We'll stop this wandering around. If I pray and when I die, you can have all these tears that I cried. One heart was lost, one will be found. So much for wandering around. Wandering around, wandering around, all through the evening and never a sound. Come, hungry child, won't you lay your head down? We'll stop this wandering around. We'll stop this wandering around.
I want to sing a song for John Prine, who is a friend and a fellow singer-songwriter, and his wife Fiona. John is in critical condition on a ventilator from COVID-19, and his wife has tested positive. John, the song that I've sung of yours has been one of the most requested songs in my repertoire for over 40 years. So let me sing it to you, send along with my best wishes and prayers. Had an apartment in the city. Me and Loretta like living there. It's been years since the kids have grown, lives of their own, left us alone. John and Linda live in Omaha. Joey's somewhere on the road. We lost Davy in the Korean War. Still don't know what for. Don't matter anymore. No trees just grow stronger, and old rivers grow wilder every day. But old people, they just grow lonesome, waiting for someone to say hello in there, hello. together at the factory. What'll I tell him if he asks what's new? Nothing, what's with you? There's nothing much to do. You know, trees just grow stronger, and the rivers grow wilder every day. But old people, they just grow lonesome, waiting for someone to say hello and there, hello. So if you're walking down the street sometime, you spot some hollow vacant eyes, please don't pass them by instead, like you didn't care. Say hello and there, hello. Say hello and there, hello. Keep on walking, keep on talking.